Hi, thank you for watching a new video blog. I'm happy that there's so many people starting to go on carnivore diets. I'm really glad that people start to discover now that animal foods are the best for you, are the most healthy for you. And I see that it's growing. I see people are more accepting towards it than 14 years ago when I started doing the carnivore diet. That's a good thing. But there's a concern that I have, and that's most people think that the carnivore diet is eating only steak and eggs. It's really concerning to me because it's not natural to eat only steak and only eggs. You don't see any primitive primal tribe or indigenous people eating only steak. The indigenous people always ate nose to tail. So basically they eat the whole animal. They use everything from the animal. And I understand where this comes from, where people think, okay, I can eat steak, because it's the only meat that there's left that's still considered normal to people. People now have been frightened for fats, animal fats, for quite a long time. So eating pork belly, for example, is something that they think is really dangerous. And maybe even if they go on the carnivore diet, they still have this sense that it's not good for them. So I see this and I understand where it comes from. They think, oh, you know, by eating only steak, which is something that I'm familiar with, it's not too fatty, it's also approachable. You can tell people, well, you know, I eat only steak, it's not that weird. If you compare this, if you say I eat bone marrow or liver, you don't have to explain yourself. So it's good that people start to doing the carnivore diet, but also think they try to avoid risks, for example, socially, and also they avoid risks for themselves to really start eating animal fats and organs, which they have been made afraid of. They have been frightened for so long. So they're not really overcoming their own fears for animal food, basically. And like I say, you don't see this anywhere. You don't see in any indigenous tribe or in our natural state people eating only steak and some eggs. Absolutely not. Like I say, they eat nose to tail. So for example, the head was always something that they made a soup of. You know, they put the whole head in a big boiling pot and they made a soup out of it. Mostly the brain, the eyes, these kind of things, it was made for a soup. You can still see this in, for example, people from the Middle East, they make these kinds of soups. I had a very nice soup also in Bosnia, in a Bosnian restaurant. And it considered, for example, it was consisting of brain, goat brain, and they will just boil it, and all the meat of the head will come loose. And this is the first thing that they do. And then they, of course, they eat the liver. They take it raw. They drink the blood. They don't spill anything. And eating the liver raw, drinking the blood raw, and maybe some other organs they will eat raw. But then they will consume, of course, the muscle meat. They will roast it mostly. They also will dry some parts, or they will ferment it in a sausage, for example, or any other form. Think about pâté, you know, liver pâté. That's still very common. It's traditional. In Europe, for example, in France, you can get really nice pâté. It's a way of eating nose to tail. And the same goes for drying your meat, or the same goes for eating the liver and drinking the blood. And for example, you can also use the bones. You know, you eat the bone marrow. Maybe you roast it a little bit, make it warm, add it with your steak. It's really nice. And then the bones itself, you can also cook them, and you get a nice gelatin. And you can use this in multiple ways. For example, the French made it also in a pâté. And eating nose to tail means that you basically use the whole animal and you are not wasting anything. It also upsets me a little bit if people are only eating steak, because, you know, you're just saying, oh, I just want this juicy part that's supposed to be very good, which, by the way, is not the best part. The best part is the liver. So it's not even true, but they consider this to be the best part. they're just throwing everything away. So, oh, that's just not food. But basically, what's also, you can eat chicken feet. You can also eat chicken neck. I ate this in Africa. It was very delicious. It's nothing weird. And I just feel like the people that start the carnivore diet don't really get it. They not yet, because later you will find out, as I also did, that you can eat all these parts and they are very healthy. And there's no difference between a steak and a chicken leg, for example. Just a different manner of eating. But you need all the different vitamins and minerals, because if you eat nose to tail, it means that in every part there's different vitamins stored and different minerals. And it's not all equal. You know, the liver has a high vitamin A and B. And a steak, for example, has some other creatine, for example, high in creatine. And that's why you need to eat nose to tail, not only focus on steak. Eat the whole animal, just like we always did, like natural state. We don't waste any food, we eat it all. Also the tail. There's so many people that they made a soup out of the tail. Mostly the head and the tail is mainly for a soup, because it's very hard. There's not a lot of flesh on it, but you can cook it and then you get a nice soup, really good taste. So basically nothing goes to waste. That's sort of what, I want to make clear if you go on the carnivore diet, is eat nose to tail. Don't focus only on steak and eggs. It's basically also not healthy for you, because you're really missing out a lot of nutrients if you only consume the steak. Like I say, there are so many vitamins in liver that you're not getting enough if you eat steak. And you can eat enough, but you eat a lot of steak, and that's not enough fats. You need also fats. The fats is what creates you. If you don't eat any fats, you really start to, for example, get constipated, and that's really can be really damaging and bad. And you also need fat, animal fat, for your brain, for all your cells. They're made of cholesterol, so you need them. And so eating nose to tail is basically what for me is carnivore, what means to be carnivore. And also I am also not afraid of eating fruits in season. When it's summer, Sure, I like some fruits, I like some berries, I like some strawberries, because it's natural. You will find them, you will eat them. It's not something weird. The same goes with vegetables. I do eat them once in a while. I'm not super strict on this. I'm not like, it's not a religion for me. And also I do cheat. I also have cheat days. So if you have in a whole year 350 days where you do the primal or carnivore diet, you're basically doing so good. You can afford these 15 cheat days. Christmas, New Year, birthday, Easter, you name it, in the summer maybe. You shouldn't be too stressed about it. You should accept it's just a way. And if you are 350 days in the year that you're doing the carnivore primal diet, nose to tail, you're basically doing so good. It's unbelievable, because 99.9% of people are not doing this. They are eating the food pyramid, or even worse, like a vegan diet. So keep this in mind, that start to focus more on eating nose to tail. Start to explore what is there more to eat from an animal than besides steak and eggs. And some things you have to overcome, like bone marrow or liver. Maybe you're not common to that, but you can get used to it. I wasn't used to it as well, eating raw liver. No, of course not. I had to get myself through it. And it took a while, maybe a few weeks, and then it was just normal to me. I didn't, just like eating heart, just normal. It's not something that I now think is weird or strange. So nose to tail, it's really what I doing now, and what I think is the optimal way of the carnivore diet. So that was it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
No.